Hello everybody, this is Tim here again, and for another movie review, this time for the new Mortal Kombat 2021, which you can watch either on HBO Max streaming service or you can go to theaters. Whatever floats your boat. But yeah, as far as this movie goes, Mortal Kombat, like as a brand, as a property, is a great, like fun, goofy fighting game series. The original movie I really enjoyed. I thought it was awesome. Um, the sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, is terrible. Like, the only thing really missing from the original film is the gore and stuff. It is more of the mainstream Mortal Kombat movie. Um, now, sorry, I had a hair in my mouth, but yeah. But to jump into this one, this is more. This has the gore and violence and stuff, the extra blood and all that. That's more in the games. So this feels even more B-movie-ish than the original movie does from the '90s. The thing with this movie is critics seem to not be liking it, but fans for the most part seem to be enjoying it. I have seen like a small minority of fans, like a 1%, that haven't liked it, and that's cool. It's whatever you feel when it comes to a movie. Their movies, it doesn't really matter. It's just personal opinion. But for the most part, fans seem to be liking this. Now, how do I feel personally about this film? I liked it. From 1 to 4, I'd give it a 4 out of 4. For what it is, I'd give it a 4 out of 4. I have to judge a movie for what it is, not expectations of what I feel like it should be, or expectations for what it should do when it's not. That's not really the property or the material that it really is suited to do or for. Like, what I'm saying is, I don't walk into a Mortal Kombat movie expecting Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. Okay, that's not what Mortal Kombat is. I've heard some complaints from people of it being too B-movie-ish and too silly, like why didn't they aim higher, do something like of a higher caliber with the property, otherwise we'll just keep getting mediocre style adaptation of video games. The thing is, the spirit of Mortal Kombat, like the games, really is like B-level quality. That's what it is. Like, they're fun games, but when you get into the story and stuff like that, it's really just zany silliness. Like the basic idea of somebody like coming to like challenge Earth Realm or whatever to win Earth for like just any random reason, just because they're a conqueror. That's like a B movie thing, and the fact that it's like a guy who's called the Emperor and he has a magic sorcerer named Shang Tsung. That's like really B movie-ish. And yeah, you can say they got all that magic craziness stuff and stuff like Harry Potter, but at the same time, Harry Potter is more about the characters, and Mortal Kombat's in its spirit and what it's designed for is more about the zany kills and craziness. That's what the heart of it is. So if you wanted to do like a more serious, like Nolan level, amazing written Mortal Kombat, you would have to tone down a lot of the more B level eccentric qualities. And to me, while that may be well written in terms of seeing it as a movie, you wouldn't be having the fun that would be required for a Mortal Kombat movie. I think I would be feeling it to be dull and just not as interesting as watching it. I'd be like, what is this supposed to be? Because it's not really Mortal Kombat. Um, so yeah, I don't think that would work. Some properties they just are what they're meant to be, and they don't need to be anything else. Like the Fast and the Furious movies, they're just meant to be dumb, stupid movies. You could say, why don't they do a smarter Fast and the Furious and all that? It's like, that's not what the franchise is. You don't need that. You don't need that with Mortal Kombat either. Um, I will say this: the opening of this movie, like with the whole scroll passage thing that goes by or whatever paragraph, it did go by kind of quick. I didn't even really get a chance to absorb it, to even read through the whole thing really. But once it got into the plot at the beginning here, it does feel like this could be like a higher caliber written product, with like the whole origin story thing of Scorpion and Sub-Zero's feud and all that, with them like being two rival clans and Sub-Zero showing up and killing Scorpion's family and all that, and killing him, and of course eventually he comes back from the dead as the Scorpion character. It does feel like it could be a higher caliber written thing, but at the same time, the reason it feels that way is because this is more about just more low key stuff of just like the two characters before they become their super magic ninja selves. Really, you only get like a little tease of Sub-Zero's like ice powers and stuff. So it's very light on the mythology. Um, Like with their human selves, you could do like a prequel thing just about that. That could be higher caliber type of written thing for in terms of like a Mortal Kombat level thing. But at the same time, once it gets into like magic and stuff, of Scorpion coming back from the dead using Hellfire and all that, it's still going to go become a B movie-ish thing. That's just what Mortal Kombat is. You cannot escape it. Um, Even if you did it as like I'll say this: one of the biggest problems I had about this movie is this. Even though it's a Mortal Kombat movie, it's really Mortal Kombat Origins. This is really like the first chapter in a probably a 3-part series. Like, this movie is pretty much a whole movie that builds up the characters until we get to what will be the tournament in the next movie. Now, what they probably should have done is split half the movie, like have half of it about the getting the characters together and all that, and then have the other half about the actual tournament. You could do that. That could be what it is. You could go in that direction. That probably would be better, more satisfying. But at the same time, I'm not holding this against the movie because I want to judge it for what it is instead of what I feel like it should be. Because that's the way you should judge films, is for what they are and what standards they're setting for themselves and whether they meet those standards. But yeah, Sub-Zero's pretty much the main villain here. He's like working for Shang Tsung. And I'll say this, the guy who plays Shang Tsung here, he's flat. I don't like him. It's not the actor's fault. Sorry about that. He's just kind of flat as the character. Like, the guy who played him in the original films the original film just had big, grand charisma on screen to where you really wanted to watch him. This guy doesn't have that. He's really flat. Same thing with the guy who plays Raiden. He's more passable, though, but at the same time, he's playing it very low-key. He's kind of flat. He really only gets, like... I did like his joke at the end, and that kind of made me think, once at the end of the film, when he does get a moment to where he's able to lighten up, that did make me think that this guy could really work if you let him have a little bit more fun. Like, at the end, he goes, Shang Tsung talks too much, like when he sends him away in a portal or whatever. Like, that is kind of funny. That scene was funny. So he could work. But the guy who plays Shang Tsung is really dull, but when he sucks, like, the soul out of somebody's body, and it's like this really cool looking green, graphic energy, like, visualized, it looks pretty cool. I liked it. Yeah, one of the things I was worried about going in this movie is they invented a character. I believe his name's like Cole Young or something, and they like invented him to further this movie specifically to be the audience's avatar. I've heard like mixed opinions about this from people who've reviewed the movie. Personally, I don't think you need him. They do come up with a reason, like character-wise, for how he ties into the main story of how he's like Scorpion's descendant or whatever, which I'm fine with that. I like that. This is the character that probably will be incorporated into the games later. But the problem here is this actor doesn't have like leading man charisma. Like, I liked him whenever he was just like a side character, and this movie kind of switches around. At first, it's kind of his movie, but then it kind of later on towards the middle becomes more like an ensemble movie when it's got like Liu Kang and Kung Lao and everybody showing up, and that's kind of where it's stronger to me. It does lag a little bit more in the middle in terms of what's going on, but I kind of like the ensemble thing better than just having him as the main character. Maybe if it was a stronger main character or a stronger actor, it would work better. But his acting, he's not good when he has to try to lead things. He doesn't have the charisma for it. But when he's just like a side character and focusing on the other Mortal Kombat characters, the dude's totally fine. It's not his fault. He just doesn't have that leading man charisma. But the guy's fine. Like, totally in terms of him in the movie, I'm fine with it. The guy, he doesn't hurt the movie or help the movie, in my opinion. Like, would I have liked like Johnny Cage in his place? Sure. But for what he is and for him being there, the dude's totally fine. I would take this guy any day over Milla Jovovich from those Resident Evil flicks, because he feels much more better integrated into the film itself than she ever did. So yeah, he works a lot better here than that. But you still could have done this movie without him. But I'm fine with him in the context of this movie. But yeah, so you got like, they try to, the thing is this is an adaptation of a video game, so they do try to add in stuff to make it more make sense in the context of being a movie and give it some type of reality. So everybody's got like these magic dragon markings on their body that's supposed to help them unlock like their superpowers or whatever. I don't really think it was really explained like where the hell they came from or whatever, but it gives people like special abilities and all that. So this movie kind of has more story to it than the original movie. Like, the original Mortal Kombat works so well because it's basically just a little story at all. It's just about a group of people who come to fight a tournament. That's pretty much it against supernatural forces. That's pretty much all that plot is. Here they try to give it more story, and so in a way, this is a better Mortal Kombat like adaptation than the original film, because it adds in all the blood and guts and all that, and the more craziness of the video games. So as an adaptation, this is kind of better. But as a movie, the original film is slightly better. It has a much cooler, like, epic cliffhanger ending. This one has a cool ending too, cool, fun cliffhanger ending too. Not really a cliffhanger, but just a cool setup ending for a sequel for Cole Young or whatever to go like recruit Johnny Cage, because they're going to get more fighters for the upcoming tournament. So yeah, it does kind of have a cool ending setup. But at the same time, Liu Kang is is pretty much the main character of the video game series. So you're doing a movie based off this Cole Young character, but it's also really at the heart of this movie. It's a Sub-Zero, Scorpion story. They're really the main characters here. They're the main story point. And when Scorpion comes back at the end, you get like the return of their feud where they're fighting and everything, and you get Scorpion saying, "Get over here," which sounds a lot better in the movie than it did in the trailer. And you get a lot of cool violence, like Kung Lao's move where he like shoves this chick like inside his spinning hat and like slices through her body. Really cool. Some of the characters, of course, because it's more of an ensemble, they get kind of the shaft, like the Batgirl or whatever that Kung Lao like cuts in half. She's just kind of eh. Kano is the star of this movie, before I forget. He is hilarious here. Absolutely hilarious. They got him in the Johnny Cage role, which they had Lyndon Ashby in the original. He is super funny here. He's almost too likable, and it becomes a problem. And the reason it becomes a problem, kind of, is because he's so likable that when he switches to the bad guys, you're like, because you know he's going to end up having to die. Not in this, like at the end of this movie, Sonya Blade like kills him by stabbing him in the eye or whatever with a garden gnome, which is pretty funny because he talks about how he doesn't like gnomes. And you get the idea, though, that he's probably going to be resurrected by the next movie, and he's going to get brought back with like the metal plate on his face or whatever. You do get that idea because his character's so likable, and that Johnny Cage will probably work as the replacement character for his character in the sequel. But at the same time, he's so likable that when he does switch, you're like, he has to die. I mean, they've made him so likable in this film that really, if they wanted to go a different direction and have him be like a torn character in between good and evil, and have him end up being a good guy or like an anti-hero, they really could have done that here. They really could have done something different from the games here. But yeah, you get to the story, and it's pretty much just like them running around recruiting people and then training to be able to unlock their abilities. It's all about getting ready for the tournament and having to deal with Shang Tsung like coming after him and all that. And that is kind of a problem in the movie because the story isn't the actual big epic thing of the games, of the tournament and stuff. It makes it feel more like a TV series. Like this is like episode 1 of a series, really. And it also makes it feel more like a TV series because we're focusing on like side characters, like this Cole guy, really, who's not from the games, and the whole Scorpion and Sub-Zero thing, which even though they're like main characters in the game, they're all still kind of side characters to Liu Kang, who's pretty much the main character. So it still kind of feels like an episode of a TV series, really. But by the end of the movie, they give you so much cool stuff that it makes up for it. So as an adaptation of Mortal Kombat, I would give this a 4 out of 4. I think it's great. By the time you get to the end, though, and like Scorpion reappears and he's like, I learned how to master Hellfire and all that, it's like, okay, you gave me some more plot in this, but at the same time, this is still an adaptation of a silly video game. So there's still going to be dumb shit in it that you can pick at it and be like, well, I did knock it down a point for that because it's like, it's kind of stupid because it's just out of nowhere. But at the same time, it's like, you got to be willing to forgive it just a little bit, some of that stupid crap, because it is based off a silly video game property. So it makes up for it with the cool fighting at the end. So yeah, all in all, as an adaptation of Mortal Kombat, I think the majority of fans it seems like the majority of fans are happy with this, and I'm a fan of the games, so I'm happy with this. I thought this was entertaining and fun. For the sequel, I think they should focus on one other thing. Goro, I thought, was underused here, and he's such a big character from the games, and he was in the original movie, that I felt like he needed more to do here, or more build-up as well before he showed up at the end. I think they might have took a scene out of him or something like that, like setting him up, and they probably deleted it. Maybe we'll get like an extended cut on Blu-ray or something, but yeah, he needed a little bit more build-up. Other things is, like, for the sequel, I really think what they should do is make, like, each movie, this is supposed to be a trilogy, so make movie 1 focus on the Cole guy, movie 2 can be Johnny Cage, and then movie 3 put Liu Kang as the star. That's what I would do. Have the whole second film like be from Johnny Cage's point of view and all that, have him be the star, and make it an ensemble thing as well, just like the first one, and to have him like learning the moves and all that, and have him be the or to unlock his Arcana thing, or whatever they call it in the movie, to be like the audience's avatar, to get his, what's it called, like Flash Kick, I think, from the games, or Shadow Kick, maybe, I ain't sure, but, yeah, that would work, just make the whole second film, like, about him, and have the third one be about, Liu Kang as the star, like, fighting the Emperor, or whatever. But, yeah, that's what I would do, in terms of, like, making this work. Like, the second one needs to have, in my opinion, one of the main video game characters as the star, instead of this Cole Young guy. I do think they are going to integrate him into the games after this movie, because this movie has done well. But at the same time, I would still rather one of the more older, more cherished characters, like Johnny Cage or Liu Kang, be the star over this guy. regardless. Just because also I don't think the actor has what it takes to kind of command the screen. Maybe he'll improve between movies though in terms of like charisma. I don't know. It's possible. But yeah, all in all, this is a 4 out of 4. The next film needs to be the tournament, though. They don't need another build. If the second one is also a build-up film to the whole tournament thing, that will piss me off. I would have the second film be about the tournament, and then have the third one be about like the Emperor coming for revenge, kind of like they did in Annihilation, except do it a lot better. And have it based off like the Mortal Kombat 3 thing, where it's like them invading Earth or whatever. Do that, but make it fun and cool and gory, like this one was. But yeah, all in all, this is slightly weaker than the original Mortal Kombat movie, which I thought was a slightly better movie because it had a much simpler story. But as a Mortal Kombat adaptation, I feel like this is better, and it has more story to it, so it's going for something bigger. But at the same time, the original one I think worked better because it did have less story, and for a B movie type thing, based off a B movie property, I feel like that kind of works better. So, yeah, all in all, this is easily a 4 out of 4. One last thing, the chick who played Melina, they tried to dirty up her mouth and all that with the blood on it or whatever, but she was still really hot, you could tell. I mean, seriously. But, yeah, all in all, 4 out of 4. I think fans will be pleased with this, and I look forward to the sequel. Hopefully they cast somebody pretty cool, Johnny Cage. So, yeah, I'll see you again with the next video. Oh, one final thing before I forget. They needed the Mortal Kombat badass techno theme or whatever from the original film, the score theme. They needed that in this movie. They kind of have it at the end in like an instrumental type version. It's not as good. They needed like the regular theme from the original film here. They should have had that. That needed to be here. I miss the techno music. But yeah, all in all, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.